The creation. The command center of Earth Defense Station Alpha fell silent as Admiral Helena Chen walked in. Her uniform bore the weight of decorations earned during the 15-year war against the coalition of advanced species, but her eyes carried the heavier burden of the billions lost. "Status report," she demanded, her voice cutting through the hushed atmosphere. Commander Elena Reyes, head of the Prometheus project, stepped forward. Unlike the Admiral's perfectly pressed uniform, Reyes' lab coat was wrinkled, with coffee stains marking sleepless nights. "Project Nemesis is at 97% completion, Admiral," she said, activating the holographic display. "We're ready for final system integration." The hologram showed a warship unlike any humanity had built before. Its sleek, angular hull absorbed light rather than reflected it, making it appear like a void against the stars. At 1.5 kilometers long, it wasn't the largest vessel in Earth's fleet, but every centimeter of it represented a technological revolution. "And the core?" Admiral Chen asked, her eyes fixed on the central section of the ship. Reyes' expression shifted to a mix of pride and uncertainty. "The quantum entanglement matrix is stable. All simulations indicate it will perform beyond our initial projections." "In English, Commander, it can create localized distortions in reality, Admiral. It bends physics to our advantage." General Marcus Wallace, the gruff head of Earth's military operations, grunted. "You're telling me this ship can alter reality? Sounds like science fiction nonsense." Reyes shook her head. "It's manipulating quantum fields, General. The Coalition thinks they're advanced with their singularity drives, but they're still playing by conventional rules. We're changing the game entirely." Admiral Chen stared at the hologram, memories of burning colonies and refugee ships haunting her thoughts. The Coalition had pushed humanity to the brink of extinction, blockading Earth and systematically destroying outer colonies. 15 years of war had taught humanity one brutal lesson: adapt or die. "Time frame for deployment?" she asked. 2 weeks for final testing, then." Warning klaxons cut through the air, and the station's AI spoke with artificial calm. "Alert. Coalition fleet detected entering the IO defense perimeter. 37 vessels identified. Classification: attack formation." The room erupted into action. General Wallace barked orders to scramble Earth's remaining defense fleet while tactical officers updated the holographic display. The Coalition fleet appeared as red markers, advancing with methodical precision toward Jupiter's orbit. Admiral Chen's expression hardened. "They're heading for the Ganymede shipyards, where the Nemesis was being constructed." Reyes paled. "Admiral, Nemesis isn't ready. The Matrix hasn't undergone final stability testing, and we've barely trained the crew on basic operations." "How many people do you need to make it operational?" Chen asked, eyes never leaving the display. "Minimum 20. But Admiral, get your team together. The Nemesis launches in 6 hours." "That's insane." "We haven't." Chen finally turned to face her. 15 years, Commander. 15 years of retreating, of watching our planets fall. The Coalition wants to finish what they started. I won't give them the chance." She gestured to the hologram. "You said it yourself. Nemesis changes the game. It's time to prove it." 6 hours later, Commander Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the Nemesis, her heart pounding in her chest. Around her, 19 engineers and officers worked frantically at stations still displaying diagnostic warnings. "Artificial gravity stabilized," reported Lieutenant Sarah Kagaw from the operations console. "Life support at nominal levels." "Matrix power levels?" Reyes asked. Dr. Vikram Singh, the theoretical physicist who had conceived the quantum entanglement matrix, looked up from his station. His fingers trembled slightly as they danced across the interface. "Stable at 82%. It's the best we can do without full calibration." Reyes nodded, then activated the communication channel. "Admiral, this is Nemesis. We're as ready as we'll ever be." "Understood, Commander." Chen's voice came through clearly. "Coalition fleet has detected our defensive movements. They've split their forces, 20 ships continuing to Ganymede, 17 diverting toward your position. They've identified Nemesis as a priority target. Copy that. Reyes turned to the navigation officer. Lieutenant Park, plot an intercept course. As the Nemesis pulled away from its docking clamps, Reyes felt the ship come alive beneath her feet. Despite the rushed launch, there was something extraordinarily right about how the vessel moved, as if eager to fulfill its purpose. Coalition ships entering weapons range in 3 minutes, reported the tactical officer. Reyes took a deep breath. Dr. Singh, initialize the matrix. Primary mode only. Singh's fingers moved across his console, activating the revolutionary system at the heart of the Nemesis. Throughout the ship, a subtle vibration began, not mechanical but something more profound, as if reality itself was resonating with the vessel. Matrix online, Singh confirmed. Reality distortion field forming around the hull. On the strategic display, the coalition ships appeared as 17 predators closing in on a single prey. Their formation was perfect, designed to catch the Nemesis in a crossfire from which no conventional vessel could escape. They're scanning us, Kagawa announced. Their targeting systems are locking on. Reyes' mouth felt dry. Weapons status. Conventional systems ready. Matrix integration with weapons is untested. We're about to test it then. Prepare for energy spike, Kagawa shouted. Multiple coalition vessels firing. The space around Nemesis lit up as energy beams lanced toward the human vessel. Under normal circumstances, even the best human shields would buckle under such an assault. But there was nothing normal about Nemesis. As the energy weapons struck the distortion field, something extraordinary happened. The beams didn't impact. They curved, following the warped space around the vessel, and then dissipated into harmless radiation. Zero hull damage, Kagawa reported, disbelief in her voice. Matrix is absorbing the energy, and it's feeding it back into our systems. Singh was staring at his console in wonder. The Matrix is learning, adapting to their weapon frequencies. It's incredible. Reyes allowed herself a moment of triumph before issuing her next order. Target the lead vessel. Fire main cannon. At the front of the Nemesis, a circular aperture opened, revealing a weapon housing unlike anything seen before. It didn't fire a beam or a projectile. Instead, it projected a concentrated cone of distorted reality. The lead coalition ship, a dreadnought 3 times the size of Nemesis, found itself caught in this cone. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, the laws of physics began to unravel around it. Metal twisted as fundamental forces weakened. Energy systems cascaded into uncontrolled reactions. Space itself compressed around sections of the vessel. In less than 30 seconds, the pride of the coalition fleet imploded, collapsing into a dense mass. Before that, too dissolved into base particles. Silence fell over the Nemesis bridge. Did we just? Lieutenant Park couldn't finish his question. We altered the quantum state of their entire ship, Singh whispered. We changed the rules they exist by. The remaining coalition vessels hesitated, their perfect formation breaking as commanders tried to process what they had witnessed. They're regrouping, Kagawa reported. New attack pattern forming. Reyes studied the tactical display. 16 vessels remained, now spreading out to surround Nemesis. Despite what they had just witnessed, the coalition commanders were adapting, preparing to overwhelm this new threat through sheer numbers. They're underestimating us, Reyes realized. Singh, can we expand the matrix field? The physicist checked his calculations. Yes, but it's unstable at extended range. We don't know what might happen. That makes 2 of us, Reyes said grimly. Expand the field to maximum range. Let's show them what humanity can do when pushed too far. As the matrix field expanded, reality itself seemed to blur around the Nemesis. Stars visible through the viewports appeared to shift position, light bending around the vessel. The coalition ships fired again, energy weapons, kinetic projectiles, exotic matter torpedoes, everything in their considerable arsenal. All of it warped and distorted before reaching the Nemesis. Matrix at 97% capacity, Singh warned. We need to release the energy or risk overload. Reyes nodded. Target all coalition vessels. Full matrix discharge. The energy nemesis had absorbed erupted outward in rippling waves of distorted spacetime. When these waves struck the coalition ships, the effects were catastrophic. Hulls collapsed, drive cores imploded, and in several cases, vessels simply ceased to exist as the fundamental particles they were composed of restructured into new forms. In less than 5 minutes, the battle was over. Of the 17 coalition warships that had engaged Nemesis, only 3 remained, and they were retreating at maximum speed. "My God," whispered Admiral Chen through the still-open communication channel. She had witnessed everything from the command center. "What have we created?" Reyes looked around the bridge at her stunned crew, then at the retreat of an enemy that had tormented humanity for 15 years. "We created a guardian, Admiral," she replied. "And a reckoning." The reckoning. 3 weeks after the battle at Jupiter, Commander Elena Reyes stood in the Earth Defense Council chamber, facing representatives from every surviving human colony. Behind her, a holographic display showed the Nemesis in orbit, its dark hull now infamous throughout the galaxy. "The implications are clear," she concluded her presentation. "With a fleet of Matrix-equipped vessels, we could end this war within months." Admiral Chen nodded in agreement. "The coalition forces have withdrawn to their core systems. For the first time in 15 years, we have breathing room." Not everyone shared their optimism. Ambassador Elijah Washington, Earth's chief diplomat, stepped forward. His expression was grave. "What you're not mentioning," he said carefully, "is the diplomatic firestorm this has ignited. The Galactic Conclave has formally classified the Nemesis as a prohibited weapon of mass destruction." He activated a different hologram, this one showing an imposing structure of crystal and light, the headquarters of the Galactic Conclave, where hundreds of species maintained a fragile peace through strict regulations on warfare. The coalition has filed a formal protest, claiming we violated the Fundamental Physics Preservation Treaty. They've demanded we dismantle the Nemesis immediately or face sanctions from neutral powers. General Wallace scoffed. The same coalition that's been trying to exterminate us for 15 years is suddenly concerned about treaties. "Let them protest. It's not just the coalition," Washington countered. 17 previously neutral species have expressed alarm. The Conclave observer who witnessed the battle described the Nemesis as an abomination that threatens the fabric of existence itself. A tense silence fell over the chamber. Humanity had always been a minor player in galactic politics, isolated by distance and technology from the major powers. Their war with the coalition had been largely ignored by other species, a regional conflict of no significance. Now, suddenly, all eyes were on Earth. "What exactly are they afraid of?" asked one of the colony representatives. Dr. Singh, who had been sitting quietly, stood to answer. "The Matrix doesn't just bend physics, it rewrites local reality. Theoretical models suggest that with sufficient power, a matrix could potentially alter fundamental constants across an entire star system. And that means," Chen prompted, "it means that if misused or if it malfunctioned catastrophically, the Nemesis could theoretically destabilize the physical laws that allow life to exist." Singh's voice was steady, but his expression betrayed his concern. "The Conclave fears we've created a weapon that could unravel reality itself." The chamber erupted into arguments and questions. Through the chaos, Reyes noticed Admiral Chen receiving an urgent message on her personal device. The Admiral's expression changed from annoyance to shock. "Silence," Chen commanded, and the room quieted immediately. "We have an incoming transmission from the Conclave flagship Eternal Discourse. They're requesting permission to enter Earth orbit." Washington paled. "The Arbiters themselves are coming here." "This is unprecedented." "What's the play, Admiral?" General Wallace asked, his hand instinctively moving to his sidearm, though the Conclave representatives would be light years away. "Communicating via quantum projection." Chen's eyes met Reyes. We hear them out. Commander, join me in the communication chamber. The rest of you, prepare contingency plans. If the Conclave is making a direct intervention, something bigger than we realize is happening. In the quantum communication chamber, the air shimmered as the projection system activated. 3 figures materialized, each representing one of the founding species of the galactic conclave. Arbiter Zextrol, an entity of crystalline structures and pulsing energy, spoke first. Its voice resonated not through sound, but directly in the minds of the humans present. Admiral Chen, Commander Reyes, we speak to you with grave concern for all sentient life. Chen maintained a diplomatic posture. The Conclave has ignored humanity's pleas for intervention for 15 years, while the Coalition has systematically destroyed our colonies. Forgive us if we find your sudden concern suspicious. The second arbiter, Navash, a being composed of interlinked organic compounds floating in a specialized atmosphere, gestured with appendages that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. The Coalition's aggression was regrettable but contained. What you have created in the Nemesis represents an existential threat to the cosmic order itself. Reyes stepped forward. The Nemesis was built for defense, not conquest. Intent does not mitigate danger, replied the third arbiter, Flarakesh, who appeared as a humanoid figure wrapped in flowing garments that concealed most of its features. Our sensors detected quantum fracturing in the Jupiter system that will take centuries to heal. You play with forces beyond your comprehension. Admiral Chen's patience visibly thinned. Then educate us. What exactly are you afraid we'll do? The 3 arbiters exchanged glances, communicating in some silent way before Zextrol responded. The matrix technology you've developed bears striking similarities to artifacts left by the precursors, a civilization that vanished after nearly destroying the universe 12 million years ago. Their quantum manipulation devices cause irreparable tears in the cosmic fabric. Reyes felt a chill. The precursors were little more than a galactic myth to humans, an ancient species said to have reached technological heights never again achieved. We didn't reverse engineer alien technology, she insisted. The Matrix was developed from first principles based on quantum entanglement theory. Yet you arrived at the same dangerous conclusion, Navash observed. This has happened before. Species reach a certain technological threshold and invariably discover reality manipulation. Those who survive learn to step back from the precipice. Admiral Chen crossed her arms. And the Coalition? Will you demand they stand down as well, or is humanity alone expected to disarm while facing extinction? Flarakesh made a gesture that might have been conciliatory. That brings us to our second purpose in contacting you directly. Our long-range observatories have detected something approaching galactic space from the void between galaxies. A new hologram appeared, showing what appeared to be a massive fleet, hundreds, perhaps thousands of vessels of alien design, moving with perfect coordination. We believe these are the Harvesters, a nomadic civilization that travels between galaxies, stripping resources and leaving devastation in their wake. They were last recorded in this galaxy 20 million years ago. Reyes studied the hologram with growing dread. How long until they arrive? 8 months at their current velocity, Zextrol answered. The Conclave has been preparing defensive strategies for centuries, anticipating their eventual return. But our models suggest that matrix technology, properly controlled and regulated, could be essential to repelling them. Admiral Chen's eyes narrowed with sudden understanding. So you don't want us to destroy the Nemesis. You want to control it. We propose an alliance, Navash confirmed. The Coalition will be ordered to cease all hostilities against Earth immediately. In exchange, the Nemesis and all Matrix research will be placed under joint Conclave Earth authority. And if we refuse? Chen asked. Flarakesh's voice carried genuine regret. Then we will be forced to neutralize the threat the Nemesis poses, even as we face a greater danger. We cannot fight on 2 fronts. After the Arbiter's projection faded, Chen and Reyes stood in silence for several moments. They're terrified. Reyes finally said, not just of what the Matrix can do, but of what we might do with it. Chen nodded slowly. 15 years of warfare has not painted humanity in a charitable light. We've had to become ruthless to survive. Do you believe them about these harvesters? I believe they're genuinely afraid, and that's enough for now. Chen's gaze was distant, calculating. This changes everything, Commander. We've been fighting for survival against the Coalition, but this... She gestured to where the hologram of the approaching fleet had been. This is extinction level. So we surrender the Nemesis to the Conclave. Rice couldn't keep the anger from her voice. After everything it cost us to build it. No. Chen's response was immediate. But we negotiate. The Nemesis was created to protect humanity. Perhaps now it can protect more than just us. 5 months later, Commander Rice stood on the Nemesis bridge once again. But everything had changed. The crew now included specialists from 12 different species, including former Coalition engineers. The Matrix itself had been modified, incorporating technologies from across the Conclave to stabilize its more volatile aspects. Beside her stood Ambassador Washington and Admiral Chen, watching as the combined fleet of nearly 10,000 vessels from hundreds of worlds formed up around Jupiter's orbit. At the center of this unprecedented armada, 50 ships equipped with modified Matrix technology represented humanity's contribution to the defense of the galaxy. The harvesters have accelerated, reported the sensor officer, a Coalition native whose species had been at war with humans mere months ago. They will enter the system in 22 minutes. Rice took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. The Nemesis had been built in desperation, a last hope for a species on the brink of extinction. Now it stood as the flagship of the greatest allied force the galaxy had ever seen. Matrix status, she asked. Fully charged and synchronized with the fleet network, Dr. Singh replied. Beside him, 3 alien scientists monitored systems that hadn't existed when Nemesis first launched. Admiral Chen turned to Reyes. The Conclave High Command has requested that you deliver the final address to the fleet, Commander. It was your vision that made this possible. Reyes hadn't expected this. She stepped forward and activated the fleet-wide communication system. For a moment, she struggled to find the right words. How could she address beings from 1,000 worlds, many of whom had been enemies just months ago? Then she thought of Earth, of the colonies lost, of the trillions of lives throughout the galaxy now depending on what humans had created in their darkest hour. She found her voice. This is Commander Elena Reyes of Earth Vessel Nemesis to all ships. Today we face an enemy that sees our differences as irrelevant, that views all our civilizations, histories, and hopes as nothing more than resources to be harvested. She paused, looking at the faces around her, human and alien alike, united by a common purpose. When humanity built the Nemesis, we did so believing we stood alone. We were wrong. None of us stands alone today. The very technology that divided us now unites us. The Matrix was created to bend reality. And today, together, we will bend it toward survival, toward hope. As the first harvester ships appeared at the edge of the system, the Nemesis led the Allied fleet forward. The vessel once feared as too dangerous to exist had become the galaxy's best hope for survival. The human warship, so strong it was banned, had become the shield that protected them all.